everybody with ME has this fatigue, but there's umpteen symptoms that come with ME, and all different ones, but there's a few that everybody gets, and one of them is that you get this regular, what they call brain fog, where your brain is just kind of fogged out and you can't think straight. And the other obvious one is the fatigue, is unbelievable fatigue. But yeah, okay, if you want to really, for me anyway, if you really put it in a nutshell, it's about energy. ME is not just about being tired. In fact, I regard being tired as actually quite healthy, even when you've overdone it. Say, like you've worked 12-hour shift or 15 hours instead of an 8-hour one, and you really worked hard and you're really extra tired. Even then, you go back home and you rest and you have a nice sleep, and you're rejuvenated. But with ME, it's never just tired. It's utter exhaustion all the time. And what most people don't seem to understand fully, because no one really thinks, because mostly people take it for granted, and that is that we need energy for absolutely everything we do, and that includes thinking, and just getting up and sitting down, just doing the slightest menial task is taking energy. And most people doing menial tasks, they don't think they do it so often every day, they don't think they're using energy, but they are using energy. And when you have ME and you haven't got energy, then it really makes an impact. So again, if we kind of try and make a kind of analogy from someone with ME and someone who hasn't got ME, if we imagine like the normal energy a person has for their day, it's like, filling up a car's petrol tank. So if an average person's, their energy's up to here. Well, with ME, it's just, you've got the energy to play with in your big toe. That's it. That's all you've got to play with. Like a car that's on fumes, and you've got to get it to the petrol garage before it runs out. In the old days, you'd keep it going with the petrol that's literally in the carburettor. That's what you used to be able to do with cars. And you just about get there, It's a bit like that. People with ME, that's all they've got to play with all the time. So whenever they use that up, and they're going to use it just by going to the kitchen, making a cup of tea even, the slightest thing, answering the phone, talking. You say, look, he's talking now, he's all animated, yeah, but it's all using energy. And afterwards, when people stop whatever they're doing, as soon as they sit down, immediately that energy either stabilises and then it starts to build back up again. With people with ME, don't forget it's in the big toe, and it's used up. A certain amount more is used up, and that doesn't come back. The rejuvenation aspect with ME is much slower than ordinary people. You see, so you've got that big toe's worth. You use it for whatever, and it's not coming back. So you need extra rest. And then if you do something that takes real, lot more energy, like some shopping, and not everybody with ME has got the luxury of having friends or family to help them to do the shopping. So the people with ME, they have to do their shopping. So that really takes a lot more energy, you see. So you do the shopping, and that's it. Whether you're driving yourself or get on the bus, even just getting on the bus, whatever it is, crossing the road, you see, you're using energy to be aware of the roads. It's all going to use up that energy. So then you'll use the whole toe's worth, you see, and it won't build back up. You've got to then rest before it's building back up, you see. One of the signatures of ME is that things don't work properly like they're supposed to, which is another interesting point, because when you go to the doctors and the various, surgeons and specialists and whatever that know the physical body, they have these methods that they've used for so long time, the various things they put on you, for measuring the kidneys and the liver and the lungs and whatever, the blood pressure, they all often measure as normal with people with ME. Again, years ago, I would use an analogy like you might be a Rolls Royce. There's the Rolls Royce sitting there, looks beautiful. You imagine it when it's going and how lovely it goes. But if you take one spark plug out, you know that when that person turns over that Rolls Royce engine, it's going to cough and splutter like some old banger car. A bit like that in a sense. The Rolls Royce may have all the same engine, perfect, beautiful engine, all that precision engineering and so on, but that one spark plug that's taken out is going to make the thing just next to useless, as bad as a really rubbish car. What's it called? The World Medical Organization have now declared it as a proper, actual disease, but still individual doctors and medical people still can't come to terms with it for different reasons. Like I said, one of them being it doesn't measure up to their gauges and different measuring systems for organs and so on. So still individuals, either one, they don't accept it, but if they're starting to accept it even, they one of the difficulties again is if you haven't had it, you really don't know what it's like, because it is so different to being just tired. So that's one of the other problems. One of the major problems is unless you've had it yourself, or you are a doctor who's extremely empathetic and sensitive, and you've got patients or someone, a loved one, or another doctor who's got a partner who's got it, who sees it all the time, then they might be able to pick it up, what it's like to live with all the time. But the average person just doesn't, you see. You can't do. And I'm aware of that, so I don't sort of hold it against people that don't. I don't get annoyed that people don't pick it up, because they can't, and so there's no point getting annoyed that people don't pick it up. You get frustrated, definitely. You get frustrated with the various things that are said to you and the various remarks that you get and all that, for sure. And it can be annoying as well and all that kind of thing. But there's no point in kind of really getting angry about it and holding it against people, because, like I said, if they can't understand it, it's just no point getting angry with them. But that's one of the problems you got. Again, the nature of ME is very erratic. You can't measure it. 1 minute you might have a little spurt of energy, yeah, and then you completely wiped out, and you might get that energy back in 5 hours. It might be longer or shorter. There's no pattern to it, and there is talk that it can come from viruses. It can come from things like a really bad flu, or what's the other one? No, I've lost that one. Glandular fever. Some people say you've had a bad glandular fever, then they've got ME after that. I think that's true. With me, I'm not sure personally. When I think back, it could have been a flu. I had a couple of flus on the trot. That might have been why it came in. But you see, I have more of a sort of an esoteric spiritual belief in it also, you see. I don't know if you want me to talk on those lines here, you see. So I have another viewpoint on top of that, you see. So, but apart from, if you purely on the physiological side, those are the theories. And again, I feel more and more thought I've put into it from the physiological point of view. I think it is a kind of a virus, because it does things to the body very similar to what the computers do when they get a virus. Some of the viruses wipes out the whole computer and it's busted. You remember in the early days, some viruses that went around through the internet, through emails, suddenly your whole hard drive was gone, and your computer was dead. Couldn't do anything about it. Then they somehow managed to fix those, didn't they? The antivirus things. Then other viruses come in where your screen would go into 4 different things and just not work properly, you know. And that's what the virus, it tends to, with ME, that's how the body functions. There's all these peculiar things, like what a virus would do to a computer. And also, from a virus perspective, I thought, well, surely then it could well be what they call a retrovirus, which is what they found with the AIDS, didn't they? They couldn't find what it was, and eventually they eventually found it, and they called it a retrovirus, and it was a cell that was hiding within another cell, wasn't it? And apparently, through you get all this information that kind of floats around the ME world, and someone's come up with some stuff that apparently there's only 3 retroviruses that exist. One's the the AIDS one, and one is another one that is some other disease. And now they have found these people with their tests and what have you. They found a retrovirus in people with ME in their blood, but not all of them. But again, I wonder, is it because the instruments they're using have just not picked up this retrovirus in the ones that they couldn't find? You with me? So therefore, it's in all of people with ME. It's hard to say. Other friends have talked about, and there's a doctor from New Zealand that has observed that the certain blood cells with people with ME go flat, and the mitochondrial, that's affected. And when I went to see my ME specialist, and I say that with and I don't want to disparage, is that the right word? The man, he's got his intelligence side, but he is supposed to be one of the specialists in the whole country to do with ME. And as far as I understand, I live in Exeter. I'm allowed to say that on here. And Exeter is supposed to be one of the centres for the whole country for ME, and these specialists, are based at Exeter. And when I go see him, I'm very dissatisfied because he never commits himself. Like with this stuff with my legs, he says it might be nothing to do with the ME, and to me that's so disappointing, because I feel I know through the sensitivity of my own body. Everybody has congenital genetic background, don't they, from your parents and so on. So if you've got any kind of genetical propensity and you've got ME, the ME will exacerbate those. And it might not straight away, it might not 5 years down the line, but somewhere along the line, I would say it will, most people with ME, if not everyone, it will exacerbate any sort of congenital condition that's in the genetic makeup of the individuals. And then anything else like that's just caught, like a flu bug or any kind of other disease that someone might have contracted, the ME will exacerbate those as well. But I think if they understood that, it might help with the treatment and so on. But because it is like an epidemic, it's really sort of widespread. Of course, they know as well, the specialists, the medical profession. Like if you've got ME, you could do with a good massage. You could do with some acupuncture. It all costs money, you see. There's all sorts of therapies out there that help ME. They rarely at all cure them, like acupuncture, but often they really, really help them. Sometimes only help them a little bit, but sometimes a good amount. But it all costs money. See, they tend to be alternative therapies, like acupuncture. But some of these therapies are under, the NHS, so the doctors can refer you to an acupuncturist, but you won't get it because it all costs money, you see, and you need it. You need it regular as well. If you go, again, I've trained in the healing profession, in the healing world. And most of these alternative therapies, you go one or two or three sessions, and then you might not need any more, or you might need one a month, or one every 2 months, every 3 months. With ME, you need, if you're having an alternative therapy, you need it every week, more like every day even. You need it at least every week. Of course, that will cost a small fortune. The average price nowadays is about £60 an hour for some sort of alternative, therapy. And you need it all the time with ME because that's how long it lasts. And that's another thing, interesting thing with ME. I respond really, really well to acupuncture. And years ago when I felt a cold or flu coming on, which really used to wipe me out, well, I found when I had acupuncture, it would drive it out of my body really quickly. Fantastic. Found something that works so well. Flu coming on, oh no, acupuncture, gone like magic. And when I first got the ME again, ME compromises getting flu, it makes it worse, and so on. I was getting the acupuncture, getting rid of it much quicker, fantastic. But in the end, and it's common, starting to have the needles, and the needles start to really hurt, and they're not supposed to hurt with acupuncture, you see. And the little Chinese lady was giving it to me. No, you're not hurting. I can't. It's hurting. It is hurting. No, it's not hurting. No, it's hurting. And in the end, I just couldn't go anymore because it was really hurting. That's a common thing. You was asking one of the common things with ME. Things hurt a lot more. Certainly, somewhere down the line, if they didn't hurt before, they start to hurt, then it never goes away. I haven't tried acupuncture for a long time. I might give it a try, but it'll probably hurt, you see. I might give it a try. Even I trained in shiatsu. Now shiatsu, which is thumb pressure, it was devised in Japan, and it works on all the same principles, exactly the same principles as acupuncture, except for you using thumb pressure and weight instead of needles, you see. So for those that are either squeamish about needles or don't like it or it hurts them, shiatsu is ideal. But again, if you've got ME, you just end up really bruised and it really hurts. So again, press, what are you talking? No, it does. No, it is hurting. And you just feel bashed up. So again, some people with ME, they'd be able to take shiatsu okay. Others, no, it will just hurt. So it's very peculiar. You've got that peculiarity again, you see. Fibromyalgia is very similar. It's very confusing. And again, now there seems to be arguments about which one you've got. But it seems that fibromyalgia, I think one of the big differences, because it's very, very similar. People with fibromyalgia, they lose energy like people with ME, exactly the same. There's a lot of pain. It seems with fibromyalgia, there's a lot of pain come what may with fibromyalgia. You get the pain whether you do something, whether someone hits you or not, you get the pain. And from what I understand, the pain is always in these similar points of the body. You see, I think that's one of the ways of knowing you've got fibromyalgia. It's always in these same sort of parts of the body, and it comes out of the blue or whether you've done something or not. With ME, you can get the pains out of the blue, but it's sporadic, or if you've done something or if someone hits you, you get the pains. It's not all the time, but you certainly do get the pain. I've got a friend who she thought she had ME, and now it turns out she's got fibromyalgia. Oh, you can have both, actually. You can have both. Like, for instance, she can't walk on her feet, and that's classic with fibromyalgia. Now, I do get that now and again. I tend to get it through the winter months when it starts to get cold. I really, really struggle, every year it's getting worse, and I start to worry now as the winter months come on. And sometimes I get out of bed and can't walk. Either my legs are not working or pain in the feet, you see. So it could be that I do have fibromyalgia in the winter or just for that time. Or it is just the ME. One way or the other, I still believe ME is what I've got, per se, and possibly fibromyalgia may come and go. But yeah, that's one of the differences. But again, it's getting more and more common, the fibromyalgia, as far as I understand. And again, you know, the medical people, it's all interlocked with NHS and money. They don't want to sort of admit it too much because they know it's hundreds. You're talking about hundreds and thousands of people that are getting it. They know that if they're going to really help you out properly, it's loads of that, and they don't. I'm not into conspiracy theories. I'm not really into that kind of thing, but I just know it. Or they're given pressure, aren't they? Like doctors are given pressure. You buy their surgery. They've only got a certain budget to play with, haven't they? Like councils. So therefore, they're not just going to send you off to an acupuncturist or a masseur because they know they might need that budget for someone else who's broken their back or something, who needs to go to the hospital or whatever. So they don't give it out that easily, do they? It's got a lot to do with that, you see. And it is a bit of an epidemic.